Open cast mining is one of the most destructive types in the world. The uniqueness of this mining method is its heavy reliance on water. This mine uses around 15 million liters of water a day. It looks like it's been hit by a meteorite. This is the Exxaro Sands Hillendale operation on the KwaZulu-Natal north coast. By blasting water at a high pressure, minerals like ilmenite and zircon are extracted. The leftover mush is pumped into massive slime stands. Madinko Kuluse lives adjacent to the mine and says it's brought her nothing but trouble.
The manager said, no, you are safe. The mine will be 50 meters away from your boundary. But this 50 meters away of the mine. These big tractors are going through here. It's shaking. The windows are shaking.
Dora Madlala, who also lives next door to the mine, says she has to dust daily.
Inside is here. Even inside is here. When you open the tap in the morning, you want to fill up the 20 liter. The water it's brown, full of dust. Sometimes the whole week we got no water. They've got water.
Now the mining company is after minerals in the sands at Mtunzini, 25 kilometers south of Hillendale. Known for its unspoiled beaches and indigenous coastal forests, this popular tourism town was the first in South Africa to be declared a conservancy, protected by law from being altered in any way. If Exxaro gets the nod, open cast mining will occur just meters from the closest house.
Is mining up to 100 meters of people's houses is disgraceful.
I think it's another case of short-term gain at huge long-term damage.
It's a 24 hours a day, 365 days a year operation.
Stan Whitfield of the Mtunzini Conservancy and the Ratepayers Association retired here 6 years ago. He dreads to think what this haven could become.
They have applied for a license for 48 million litres of water a day. Mtunzini itself does not use 30 million litres of water per month.
Residents and environmental groups say it's madness to mine this way in a water-scarce area. Wetlands and tourism could disappear completely. Backing up their concerns, they point to Hillendale.
Hillendale is a disaster area. I have flown over it, I've driven through it.
The new mine will be 4 times the size of Hillendale and have 2 massive slime dams 30 meters high.
This is the site of the Fairbreeze Mega Sebeka Slimes Dam. It runs for 5 kilometers. From here, Bridge 5, down the highway, past Bridge 3 to Bridge 2. It's placed on top of a wetland which Mondi has left untouched for years. It's also a very beautiful grassland.
Bianca McCalvey is Conservation Manager for the Wildlife and Environment Society in KZN. Hey Bianca, Bongani. She's worried about the protected areas around Mtunzini. Most of the rivers in the area will flow either past or through the mining operation. So basically, I mean, all this mining activity will affect virtually every catchment area into the sea.
That's right.
And through the protected area. Bianca took us to the mouth of the Siaya River, part of the catchment.
This area is so short of water that this estuary hasn't actually met the sea in about 15 years. And with the mining, by altering the groundwater levels and dynamics, the chances of this system actually becoming functional and providing a nursery area where fish can come to grow and breed are very, very small.
Part of the objection to the mining is that at some point upstream, the mine is going to have to dam portions of this river. It can't get to the sea as it is, and if it's blocked upstream, it could eventually dry out. Not so, says the mining company Exxaro. In fact, the environment could be better off after they've finished mining. General Manager Trevor Aaron says they plan to plant indigenous bush, which sucks up less water than the tree plantations that cover much of the area right now.
Returning it to a natural environment will actually enhance the benefits of ecotourism.
Conservationists are skeptical. Exxaro is under no obligation to rehabilitate any of the Hillendale mine until they've finished mining, but they began trying to in 2006.
They say that Hillendale's rehabilitation is on track. It's not on track because we can show you documentation where they said in 2006 that by the end of 2008, Hillendale would be 50% rehabilitated.
Because it's a water-based process, all of the soluble minerals, the things that actually are feeding the plants, can be washed from the soil during the process.
Trevor took us to the Hillendale mine to show us 2 areas they plan to rehabilitate. The huge craters left after mining and the slimes dams. Once it has dried out, Trevor says the dams will be covered in topsoil.
What we're looking at here is basically the dried slimes.
The craters will be filled in with a mixture of slimes and topsoil. To make the ground more fertile, Exxaro have been adding fertilizer and lime. They then reconstitute the soil by planting nitrogen-fixing plants like the sun hemp.
What you're seeing here is what we call the final stage of rehabilitation, returning it back to the original farming practice, which was sugarcane farming.
Bianca says it's not enough to just farm small patches and then claim rehabilitation is working.
It's very difficult to see what this landscape would look like and what actually can be achieved.
You can't actually tell me that you know for sure that this is going to be able to be done on a massive scale here.
And I wouldn't attempt to try and convince you any otherwise. And unfortunately, Bongani, that will only come in the fullness of time. Time and the effort that we're putting in right now.
You then have the other problem that when you go to Fairbreeze, you're doing indigenous trees and you're going to be planting eucalyptus trees.
Yes.
So even if you succeed with sugarcane, that certainly doesn't transfer to what you have to do at Fairbreeze.
I agree with you, and I wouldn't
So
be
then would
misplaced
you
in giving
accept the concern of environmentalists who say that you've made all these promises, but actually we don't really know?
I accept that fully, and that is why part of our process, engaging with the Conservancy, and we've extended that hand, and also trying to engage with people that are looking to work with us.
The Conservancy and WESA say this is not the case. There's been little participation because the Environmental Affairs Department decided that a full scoping impact assessment wasn't necessary as part of Exxaro's new application to mine.
What they have allowed the mine to do is to effectively skip out some steps in the middle and go to the end.
In 2006, Exxaro was given approval to mine a small section of Fairbreeze C extension. The department believes the studies done for that permit can be used in the new application.
We do not have the luxury of time at this stage to go through and do something that we believe we've already done.
That really was for quite a different mine, for a much smaller area.
Instead, Exxaro asked to submit a basic assessment report, also known as a BAR. They also added some new reports.
I think we had 3 weeks to study this 2,000-odd page BAR. It was a huge document. And then we went to a public meeting.
We actually didn't get any opportunity to comment at all and had to send a series of 85 questions.
How many pages do you think they devoted to rehabilitation of the Fairbreeze mine? 8 pages out of 2,000 odd.
We positively believe we've employed the right people to do the right studies. At the end of the day, the department has to make a judgment call as to whether we have done enough work.
The KZN Department of Environmental Affairs couldn't comment, saying the application process was still underway. They confirmed the initial BAR had been rejected, but wouldn't say why. Exxaro resubmitted their application this week.
I'm not going to sit here and say to you that mining will not have an impact on the environment.
Trevor says they've learned valuable lessons at Hillendale. At Fairbreeze, they'll do things differently.
We will rehabilitate as we move along.
Exxaro is also adamant Mtunzini will benefit economically from the new mine.
All Exxaro are going to do is move the entire Hillendale staff to Fairbreeze. The smelter staff on the other side of Empangeni will stay the same.
Exxaro say they've the support of the communities around Fairbreeze. There'll be at least 90 permanent jobs and more than 1,000 temporary jobs and some contract positions. Sam Mtembu represents the tribal authorities in the area.
We want the mine because there's a lot of unemployment here. There's a lot.
Sam owns a laundry set up and contractor to the Hillendale mine.
Even if Exxaro is gone, 20 years, it's gone. I can be able to go to any other company and say, look here, I've got the skills.
The only rands and cents figures we have around economics really revolve around the benefits from the mine.
There is no study has taken place to find out how many jobs there actually are in forestry and agriculture.
And Mtunzini residents say the economic impact on the town is already being felt.
I moved here 5 years ago when you couldn't buy a house. Now, 100 houses out of 600 properties are for sale.
The pure economics out of all of that is that we cannot afford 20 years to prove what's going on here until we start the next mine. We'll have no business. I mean, that's the reality at the end of the day.
My concern at the end of the day is that the cost of those projects are borne by the taxpayer, and in fact it goes much further than that, because all the other costs, all the environmental issues and access to water issues are borne by the people of South Africa.